Spark a conversation, verbal elation, stimulation, education. This is Menage with the MaryJayneMaven. When we on the air, it's always a lituation. Might talk about some litigation, might talk about some immigration, might talk about some politics, but never talking nonsense. Yes, we on in the slide. Watch and listen, it's a vibe. Watch it while you getting high, or you can listen while you drive. Just don't forget to subscribe.
Roll up. Trying to get high.
But I looked at hubby that day and I was like, well, man, I don't know about you. I'm a little high. So we are going to, my spark and salutations for today is going to be this fruit indica. And you guys know how I am about indicas. So hopefully I am able to stay my normal high energy self off this one here, but you guys get all started there. So we are going to really quickly, before we get into, because I have tons of questions for Coach Ash, but before we get into that, I do want to go ahead and talk about my staying sane with Mary Jane for the week. And I'm glad that I'm getting ready to spark this because this might irritate me again. So my staying sane with Mary Jane, just to do a quick description again, for those of you that may not know, this is a time when, somebody, something, it's just it really pissed you off. And you're like, ooh, if I don't get to my medicine, somebody is going to be hurt. Prime example, driving behind, like I said, a Prius driver. I don't know what it is about Prius drivers, but y'all are, I don't know if when you buy a Prius, they give you like a little special placard that's like, you are in control of controlling traffic. You think it's too fast? Stop it. Go 71 in the fast lane. Better yet, go a good 55. And then drive and act like you don't know that anybody's honking at you or anybody's driving by, looking at you like, just keep about your business. I don't know what it is, but I wish they would stop. That's a prime, that will be a forever example. But this week I had a neurologist appointment. Everything's great, by the way, guys. My neurologist still can't believe that I'm, doing as well as I am. All mindset. Mine's very powerful thing. But I'm late, running late, and just a few minutes, and I'm going to pay. And you have to in Sacramento. Everything is just much like Southern California. You got to pay to park. So I slide in my card and I go to take it out because of my nails, guys. Anybody that has nails, you go to an ATM machine, anything that you got to put a card in, it's very hard to get that card back out. So it's beeping at me. I mean, I'm pretty sure that it wanted to curse, like if it could. I'm in my car searching for tweezers, something. Found a set of tweezers in my purse yesterday, which I never looked in, but I'm standing there being like, oh, I'm already late. There's nobody walking down the street. All of a sudden, two Black women walked towards me. They worked at the hospital. And I said, excuse me. They walked a little past me. And I said, would you mind helping me? I really need help getting my card out. One of them looked like I said, help me break into this car. Then let's steal it. And then let's go commit all kind of murders. Like the way that she looked at me, and then she went and just snatched it out, handed it to me, and then stalked off. And I was like, shit. I had to stop myself. I'm about fixing queens' crowns, not knocking them down by calling them all kind of names. But let me tell you, and I had just set my intention, which was to give love so that it's felt everywhere and they're able to give love back. I wanted to give everything opposite of love at that time. Why was that so hard? Why was that an issue? Why couldn't she? Sure, here you go. Thank you. Girl, I've been there myself. But she didn't want to do that. So, I hope you're having a better week because you obviously weren't having a good day that day, that it was such an inconvenience for you to help somebody out. But that's my staying sane with Mary Jane for the week. So, Josh, do you have any instances like that where you're just, you don't go to the plant, but you're like, I need to go work out. I need to go medicate. They're trying it. Anything like that?
Yeah, I think for me, it's when I'm at the store, whether it's a grocery store or Target or, anywhere like that, and someone walks in front of me and like just doesn't say anything. So as if I'm just not standing there, like, no, excuse me, or like anything like that. I'm like, oh, I'll actually say it for them. Like, oh, excuse me. And so that's definitely one of the things that like, okay.
My thing is, I didn't put on an invisibility cloak. Why are you acting like I'm not here? Don't let me hold open the door for you, and you don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am not a bellhop. Yeah.
My mini me will always be like, "Oh no, excuse you," like this heck loud. He doesn't whisper or anything. He like if he wasn't a kid, those probably would have said something.
Our
by now.
13-year-old, no poops. Like, no, look, he says what he says, and we're like, damn, that's 10 years watching us. Like, oh my gosh. And this boy can't whisper. He don't try to. This boy, why are white people out here with no mask on? Like, he just, that, you know, that's, we always say, you either going to have friends that fight and fight for you, or you will be able to throw them hands. Because you, very sarcastic and very personality, like us. But yeah, he's 13, so but yes, those things drive me crazy. Hubby and I stumbled upon the Karen compilations that are on YouTube. Have you ever seen any of those? Oh yeah, that lady. Look, she could have been roasted. I mean, her hair, her glasses, her clothes, and then got on her whole demeanor about what she did. Like that was enough. But she she was the catalyst for all of this. Now there are at least 3 or 4 channels on YouTube that are nothing but Karen compilations. The amount of times that these women,
The one we watch a lot is Karen's in the Wild.
yeah, Karen's in the Wild. I mean, there was one on Bart who had the nerve to be like, the Bart guy was like, get off if you're not going to put on your mask. I won't. And let me ask y'all this. I have never ever heard of a cop saying you're under arrest and somebody going, no, I'm not. I didn't know we could do that. I didn't know that we could just go ahead and go, no, I'm not. And they go, oh, okay, no, you're not. They do. I'm going to tell you the most common things that these Karens say. No, I'm not under arrest. You're assaulting me. I have a medical exemption. I know my laws, and they don't. Oh, yeah. And this is discrimination. Oh, that's the best one. Y'all don't know nothing about discrimination. Shut the hell up. Because somebody's telling you to pull your mask up or wear a mask in the Whole Foods, that is not discrimination. Oh, any advice, if you guys want to get your laugh or be like these people or feel better about yourself, because Black people are supposed to be the ones that are, just so crazy and watch these, okay? It's like watching Love and Hip Hop. Love and Hip Hop was good to me because it made me feel better about myself. So if y'all grown ass people are doing this for just a little bit of money or whatever Mona's giving you, I feel so much better about myself. But yeah, so guys, let me tell you, there is so many things that can drive you crazy each day, but it's really how you look at it and how you pivot from it. So this is, when I do the staying sane with Mary Jane, it's very tongue in cheek. But there are some times that I rush home and I roll up and I'm like, okay. Once it's about you being in control, it's about your accountability, how you let that affect the day. So that is, an example of that. But I had to get that out because I came home and just probably talked hubby's ear off about it. He's like, I heard you. And they walked by and then they came back like, I heard you. So we are going to, you guys know I love music. And my favorite song to smoke to for this week, and what's actually going to be my song of the week as well, is a little bit of a throwback. It is Strong by Young Dro, featuring 2 Chainz. It has to be the remix. I don't know why, but that song just knocks. Like it, I don't know why. I feel like it is brand new whenever I play it. But that is my song and my slap for the week, and the song that I prefer to medicate to for right now. Earlier in the week, it was Work Bitch by Britney. I don't know. I go from one thing to the next. I also was listening to New Kids on the Block earlier this week. Where do I go from here? Over and over and over again, like I was in 6th grade. But Coach Ash, what is it that you like? What is it that, as far as music? Music is healing. Music is great. Music can definitely help you to express and evoke some feelings that you didn't even know you had. But music plays such a huge part in my life. And for those that do medicate and use Mary Jane, it's been proven that there are, health benefits and that Mary Jane itself does enhance the experience of music when you are elevated. But what does music help you with? Like, when do you need to turn on that music to be able to just get out of your head or whatever it is? When is that time that you're like, let me go ahead and put on this track? And then what is your favorite track during that activity?
Yeah, so initially when, you're asking about just the music component, I go back to the exposure piece in itself. So in terms of, Jay-Z rapping about, whether it's his environment or, the million records that he sold, just in terms of like getting to that next level, or thinking about 50 Cent and his career. I've listened to his audiobook. And so just kind of giving a backstory or a perspective of like, this is why I ran the brand this way, or this is why I did this, from a business standpoint. And so initially that's kind of where my mind goes when it comes to the level of exposure within music, because, just things that I don't necessarily know or think about. Like, this is their reality, $1 million homes or vacations, different things like that. So it definitely goes to the level of exposure. And then one of the songs that I would say I'm thinking about is the Empire State of Mind. So just really, in terms of mentality, you can do anything, anywhere. I'm not all about New York, but just in terms of, that mentality.
Yeah, and the power behind it. That's I like that you said that's like I liken that song that song is for everybody, but a version of that's like white people's Katy Perry what was it, Fireworks? People love it. Oh my gosh, that pumps them up. And you guys know my oldest son is half white, so please don't anybody get like, oh, she talks about them a lot. It is who it is. What it is. We all live together. We all, but that song is very first of all, I could deal with Alicia Keys then. That's my theory on her. That's before she became a homewrecker. My opinion, IJS. But still very talented. She performed with Kanye when he released his Donda album. I just stumbled upon it on YouTube. So great piano player. Like, there's so much talent behind her. But that song is very, very, very powerful. And then, not Jay. But I love that you said Jay-Z because, and it's funny that you say the exposure because I grew up nowhere around any type of lifestyle that Jay-Z lived, 50 Cent lived, anybody else that, I listen to, and I'm feeling it. I'm acting like I done shot this or done this or pulled this. Never have. But the way that you can connect to it, especially if they're great storytellers, it allows you to appreciate their journey, but then appreciate the fact that they have the talent to make that journey relevant through their music. So I love that. Patiently Waiting, 50 Cent, love it. Mini Men, my shit. Like, that whole first album actually is what I can put on too when I'm feeling away. But I like that. And then American Gangsters, Jay-Z's album that I put on when I'm like flawless, like one that I could just start over and listen to again and again. But yeah, I love that. I listen to everything, everything. So I love those examples though. I may have to go ahead and put that in the rotation this week. American Gangster now. Yeah, I love that. And did you hear that he just made another very smart business investment, and it increased his value, his worth well over $1 billion. He's well over $1 billion. I think he was tired of people saying that Beyonce was the breadwinner in the family. So it was like, all right, right, yeah, yeah. And I like what he's doing because he's not bragging; he's trying to educate. In that. I also get a lot of motivation from Drake. Drake talks so much shit, but it's so much confidence, and I love it because it shows you how to exude exude your confidence, and through that confidence, you start to believe it, and when you start to believe it, it becomes real. Um, him and Russ, I think those are two rappers that people say they talk a lot of shit and they're braggadocious and they're boastful. No, I think they just have that idea of like, hey, I've always wanted it. And because I wanted it, it allowed me to work hard. Because I worked hard, it came true. That's the same thing that's going to happen to you in anything you want in life. So, once again, I love music, and it says so much more. And I don't think that life would be life if we didn't have it. It'd be very, very, very sad. Be even crazier than what we're living through right now, what we're going through right now. But so what I want to do is I want to find out, and I want to let all of our listeners know who's Coach Ash. You know, you like Mary Jane, you said you've been talking to her for some months. Now we want to know what's going on. So this season is about what's your why, what motivates you. So what would you say is your why for what you do? And you can start off at square one and let everybody know about, what it is that you do, and that you are the first woman, and especially woman of color, to get her master's in that focus and that study. So go ahead and share with the lady like I said, we'll start. It's easy to start with what's your why.
Yeah. So just in terms of background and a little bit about me, I am an author. Me and my business partner wrote a cannabis infused cookbook called Smoke from the Pot that teaches you how to make infused olive oil, canna butter, canna shortening, and it has 40 recipes included in it as well. I'm also a development coach. So in terms of personal development and business development, that's what I do with Winning Coaching. We provide workshops and HR trainings for leaders and management teams. And then I'm also a cannabis entrepreneur. So just combining both of those businesses and any other ideas that I get when it comes to cannabis, that's kind of, what I do.
Yes, I love that. What, if you don't mind me asking, what's your sign? Okay. So I love that when you said anything that is kind of an interest to me, you're taking your skill set and your knowledge, and your interest, and that becomes what you're doing. So you're not afraid of something that allows you to take on more, right? Especially if you feel like it's your duty and your purpose, and what you're supposed to do. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, definitely not afraid of the work and enjoying the process.
Yeah, that is awesome. So what's your education, if you don't mind sharing with everybody? How did
Yeah.
you start? What was your initial study? And then of course tell us about your master's.
Yeah, so I have a BS in hospitality and tourism. I went to Cal State East Bay out in the Bay Area. And then I recently just graduated with my master's in medicinal cannabis science and therapeutics, the first master's program in the nation from the University of Maryland, Baltimore. May of 2021. And so, it's been a journey. Just like anything in the cannabis industry, it's all about pioneering, and it's all about starting things, not knowing like how it's gonna go, or not having a system or a blueprint or a plan. You try and get as much information as you can, and network and work with other people who may be doing similar things. But it's all a journey, and there's no specific outline ABCD, like how it is with other industries. So you just really have to have a love and a passion for it. And just kind of going back to what is my why, it's personal and financial freedom. Every day I'm getting up and I'm working and, chasing this greatness and chasing being able to control what I can control, and, not having to have someone else have control over, me.
We're making them rich, we're making them successful, but you're just an employee number. But you're that employee that you're doing things, that, like I said, making them rich, making the company successful. Do that for yourself. I absolutely love that you say that. That is, I did 15 years in sales, corporate sales, customer service, and I was good. I was able to write my ticket anywhere I wanted, but I wasn't happy because I wasn't doing what I really needed to be doing. So during that time, I did passion parties. I sold Vault Denim, which is a designer jeans company. I did kind of like, business to consumer, directly, kind of thing. I did event planning. I planned weddings. I worked for Sacramento magazine, Sacramento Wedding magazine. Just did a bunch of different things, and I always kind of thought, well, that's who I am. I'm flaky and can't decide what I want to do, so it is what it is. No, it wasn't that I was flaky and that every couple of years I needed something different. It's that I needed to step out of fear and step into what my passion and purpose was. What I realized now was that all those years in the trenches allowed me to do what it is that I do now because I was building that skill set. I was actually learning during that whole time. But freedom financially, um, you know, as far as a career, the freedom that it provides to you as an individual, the addition and the optimal relationships and the levels of relationships that you have. So personally, your love life, all of that is improved by you being able to do your own thing. So what is your relationship with cannabis? And then really quickly, I'll have hubby. I wanted to see if he can share like just the front page or the cover. What would be the cover of the cookbook? You guys, let me tell you, it is, I have made a couple of items. I am planning to use a few more of the recipes in a birthday celebration. It's fantastic. Do a great job. Everything there is very attainable. It's easy. It's not like she's asking you to make beef Wellington. We are not on Hell's Kitchen. It's not asking you to make beef Wellington or anything, but hummus. You got breakfast things. Chicken, whole thing, waffles. But so we'll talk about that. But what is your relationship with cannabis? I know that I asked you to take part in or mention the spark and salutations. And you mentioned you do not consume, but what is your relationship or what is your motivation to be an entrepreneur in the industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So it'll be 9 years that I've been in the industry coming up this July. And so the earlier part, like even before I started smoking in college, and it was more so of like a recreational kind of thing. And then being a cultivation director and working around the plant, I've grown hundreds of pounds. I've grown product that's been entered into high times. And, it just kind of being around it so much, we're talking about environment. It, for whatever reason, I just didn't like the way that it was starting to make me feel. And so I kind of transitioned out of just consuming or smoking from a recreational standpoint to like, okay, do I need to go to sleep? Okay, maybe let me take some edibles or let me, medicate to be able to actually use it for more of a medicinal standpoint and being intentional about it. And so now, with my background and being in the industry for a while, it's more so of an advocacy, even though it's not something that I consume on a daily basis or seek to consume. I still advocate for people who need this medicine just to be able to get through their day. So now it's more so about providing the education around cannabis for people who and also to fighting against that negative stigma. That's something that's really big because a lot of times people who are anti-cannabis are like, no, like they don't even know why they feel that way. And so being able to really, shed light on the history of cannabis and how it came about in terms of the legalities around it and, just really providing a different perspective that people didn't necessarily know. And it's not to convince them to think that they should use it or that it's okay. It's just giving them that perspective and that education around, what it actually is.
To normalize it. I love that you say that. I was just going to say, my mission, my motto for the Mary Jane Maven is to educate, eradicate, and elevate. And that's exactly, the same thing. The first step in normalizing it and allowing the plant to live in its true power within our society. It's already part of our nature. That's where it comes from. Once again, Cat Williams put it here. No, not Cat Williams. Smokey. It was put here. Put here for me and you. Rose from the earth. So. Thank you. Sorry, let me not do his movie any injustice. That was very disrespectful of me. I am so sorry. I apologize. You guys know that's the hubby's movie. When we watch it, I'm like, can I hear the movie or you? Do you want me to just turn it down and you are going to do everybody's line? Because he can. Please forgive me, sir, respectfully. But it's very true. But the way that we're going to be able to educate about it is to have individuals like you and I who are passionate about it and understand the importance of the education. We can't just start a whole new business sector, whole new one. We haven't had this since, manufacturing and in our history, in this country's history, in this world's history. We haven't had a new business sector like that since production, then technology, and now it's cannabis. So in order, just the same way that we have to educate everybody about, technology, nobody had computers back in the day. Then we used to get that AOL, the 1,000 hours of free AOL time, and people still were like, what is this? Now you can't even imagine people not having a computer or having their phones, which is a computer. So just the same way that we have to educate everybody about that, we're still having to educate about the responsible use of now the internet and our computers. You have to educate people about the plant. It's so important that we have to retrain, especially a whole generation that grew up during the reefer madness time, like grandparents, for example. Like our parents, they smoked something, they had a little something in the 70s, but their shit was all seedy and it was when they was listening to the flashlight and doing the bump or whatever else they did in the 70s. But that was their experience. Now they are, and I can say it, both of my parents are on too many medications for my liking. I don't want them on any. So to see their health now in their 60s, it's important for me to be able to convince them, and for me to definitely convince them and to retrain them and to let them understand, stop getting that medication. You're on 5 other medications because of that one medication that you got put on 25 years ago. So it is very important to do that education. Once that education is provided, then we can eradicate all those stigmas. Like I say, those Jeff Spicoli, you're sitting on the couch, you don't do shit, you're not a part of society. It's harmful, it's going to lead to you. Now you're going to be on crack in someone's alley, a little bit later. Let's go ahead and eradicate all of that. And then that allows people to elevate their lives, their existence, whatever it is, the way that they see fit. So I love that you say that. And I admire you for being able to say, especially right after college and things like, I think a lot of people smoke in the early 20s or in, their mid 20s because it is a social thing. And because people around you do. They don't understand the intentions behind it, the wellness behind it, the entrepreneur benefits behind it. So once that all becomes a normal process, and thoughts around it, I think this world will be a lot better. I always say the world should be like Disneyland. Disneyland smells so good all the time. And everybody's like, how? Because they pump the smells in, guys. Pump the smells in through these little vents throughout the park. If we could just put little vents all around the world and then just pump out some good smoke every now and again, and we'd all be we'd be a commercial. We'd all be forgot that commercial from the 80s, where it was like everybody joined together. But anyways, no, it was another brand. Sorry, I can't think of it. Anyways, but let me know. I'm very curious about you being in cultivation, because I want people of color, especially women, to start looking at that aspect of the industry. How did you fall into it? What would you recommend to somebody what skills or interests would somebody have that would lead them into being a good cultivator, or should that being an interest or, an opportunity for them? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think it's the same with anything, just seeking and wanting to learn more. So, whether it's about the plant in itself and, the different chemical structures or the nutrients and what you're using, or if it's about, just different strains and, indica sativa, like whatever that may be. And I think just even in our daily lives, is being someone who wants to learn more, who's always open to learning, having that mindset and that skill to where it's like, you don't feel like I know everything and I don't need, your help, or I'm in this position where I know enough and I don't want to, or I don't need to hear, anything that you have to say. And so for me, that's actually how it started. So I when I was working at the dispensary, I started to go trim on my break. So it goes back to the environment too, right? So on my break time, just to be able to be in the environment around other growers in the back where they were producing the product, I would go on my break to go trim. And doing that allowed me to be in the environment and get exposed to the people who are actually back here doing this as a job. And so I just, took that on as opportunity to be able to, do what other people aren't doing. Like people are going to their break, they're going to go smoke or medicate. At the time you're able to do that. Or whatever they're doing. I was just looking like this is an opportunity for me to get back there. And then, the opportunities came up to where it's like, all right, let me pull you back there for the rest of the day or X, Y, and Z. And it just kind of evolved from that. But I was really fascinated. Like, yeah, absolutely. But I was fascinated, like, I could actually grow what I'm purchasing at the counter. Like there's a way for me to actually grow this myself. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And so I tried out, started with two plants in a tent in my closet. And it just led to, multiple rooms.
Yeah, that is awesome. So I love that what you mentioned is like wanting and having the interest and the passion in it. And that you said trimming was kind of the catalyst because I wanted to learn from every aspect of the industry because I want to help people be able to get into the industry. So I went for a summer and worked doing pre-rolls, and you definitely learn a lot. And you may not even know at that time that you are learning, but somebody will ask you a question or, you'll think about something. You're like, oh, wait, I know the answer to that. I know my experience is I learned how for somebody to not to run a cannabis brand, especially if you don't have a true interest in the plant, whether it's, medicating with it or whether just knowing the power and the benefits of it and wanting to allow others that aspect or that access. You don't have that, stay your ass out the industry or be a silent investor, do something. But other than that, don't do it because you're not giving the best product and you're not doing what you're not doing right by, any potential customers or just the industry period. And you're taking an opportunity away from somebody else who could and want to do their, do the thing right. So I like that you say that. But women, if you have an interest, if you grow, you successfully, because unlike me, I am not successful at keeping fresh basil plants.
I can't grow anything other than cannabis. I don't know what it is now. Like it's tough.
My husband's great at it. My husband and my younger one, they can keep stuff like we've had, succulents and things like that. I overwater them. I just something. But if you have an innate interest, if you successfully grow your own vegetables and fruits, or if you can keep herbs, alive, and you're interested about how the plant works, and you have a little bit of that science, interest, look into it. And then you're looking at how to get into the industry. Look into cultivation, especially Black women or any woman of color. I say this and I say this all the time. Women are the closest to this plant. It's a female plant, but because we have the same characteristics as the plant has, as far as providing, nurture, providing care, providing, wellness. We understand the benefit of the plant in that aspect. A woman, and I think it's going to be a woman of color, could be the one that cultivates a plant that truly provides the cure for cancer, truly provides the cure for diabetes or something like that. Like I truly 1000% with every fiber of my being believe that these cures are there within the plant. And so we need individuals that want to be able to provide that. And I think that, like I said, it will happen through a woman because we're powerful, we're connected, we have that interest. We don't get so gold rush, let me make the money aspect of it. We're still thinking about what this can provide for people that I love, my family, future, generational wealth, all of that. So that aspect is very strong to me too. So I love that you did that. And your experience to me is an example of what somebody could do. If you have the time, like I said, no babies, you don't have any other obligations, continue on through your education. Take those opportunities from being a bud tender to moving to the back, to maybe management, maybe marketing, whatever it may be. Take the opportunities to be in incubators whenever you can.